Hi, welcome. This is Bree. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. Okay, I'm going to make sure this is going, and then we are going to talk about March predictions, horoscope predictions for the USA. Also, I wanted to let you know and bring to your attention that I did make a post on horoscopes, why you need to know your natal promise. And you can see that if you go to my website, www.spiritualdesignAstrology.com. And that should bring it up. Of course, I live in the Midwest and we're having like a snowstorm, so it's really slow here. But you need to know that when you hear on YouTube or perhaps in the newspaper, somebody's talking about general forecast, they mean it because it really does take your natal chart with the transits around it to see if it's hitting a cusp or one of your natal planets to see if it's going to have any impact on you. Otherwise, this is just a general forecast. Even with the USA, what I say that I see going on with the United States, because it'll be felt overall, don't get me wrong, but as we all know, when it came to 2008 and 2009 with that housing crash, and we went into a slow recession and so forth, did it really hit everybody out there? It didn't. So you need to know your own natal horoscope to know what is going on for you. Did we all feel the impact? Did we have friends or family that probably perhaps felt that impact? I bet we did. So it does, it takes your natal chart and then we put the transits around that. So this is just a general forecast because I hear this didn't hit me, that astrology doesn't work. It does. You've got to know that natal promise. You yourself have to know that natal promise. Really, you do. And I also talk about not getting a computer printout because they're so ambiguous. If you've ever gotten one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, let's move on. March. We're going to start with the 5th. And I've got over here a PDF file. I'm going to be sending this out to everybody on my email list. And then I'm going to be posting it up on my blog. But, and I do not know why I get that anymore. I must have downloaded something, but I'll have to take care of that. Okay, March 4th through the 10th, we've got Mercury retrograde. March, and I've got it March 5th. It depends on where you're at. Mercury retrograde is a time to go back over things, to retweak things. It's not a time to start anything new, even though on the back side of this, we've got a new moon on the 5th of 5th, 6th of March. We've got a new moon, and that new moon is in the sign of Pisces. Whenever we have a new moon, it's a great time to start something new. It is, but I wouldn't do it now. Not only because Mercury's retrograde, even if he was direct, always wait when there is a new moon, at least a day or so, 3 days afterwards to start that new, because whatever's done in the dark stays in the dark. Read on new moon babies. You'll see that there's a specific time that they're to start things and not start anything. And the same goes for you when there's a new moon. Whatever's done in the dark stays in the dark. So you're going to want to wait at least a couple days, a day, 2 days, 3 days, week, to start that new project. But it's definitely the best time to start something. Don't get me wrong. Just not on the night of the new moon. So, okay. This new moon is in the third house, in the USA third house, and it is 15. And I'm not going to get everything exact because I know people are wanting to hear. I mean, everybody wants to hear what's going to happen for me. Well, you got to get your own horoscope completed. You do. So this is, again, a general forecast. And I know a lot of people who do astrology on YouTube tell you it's a general forecast. So I do see this eclipse is in Pisces. Now, Pisces is it belongs to the 12th house. And Pisces is March to April, the birthdays. And you know, I don't know everything, like when it starts, when it ends. I always have to reference to something telling me because I've got so much going on in my head. And with astrology, you do have to reference that. So I'm going to say February 19th through March 20th. February 19th through March 20th is Pisces. And sorry about that, but I do have a lot going on in this head. All right. Um, I also look for gas and oil to go up at that time. Um, Neptune does rule oil, so I do look for it to go up. Also, let me see, winter, I do see the weather subsiding instead of the frigid temperatures. I see a lot of spring-like forecast weather, even though I'm not a weather person, but I see a lot of hail, big, big hail. I see because Uranus is also going to be going into what? Taurus on that day, huh? Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of that now. I'm doing this at the end of February. So we're seeing a lot of this now come into play. Weird weather. I mean, I believe I heard Hawaii even got snow. So we're going to have a lot of volcanoes, some earthquakes, rain. Oh my gosh, the rain. We're going to have a lot of floods. I mean, we think we've seen it last year. We're going to really start seeing it until Uranus gets settled in that sign of Taurus. So, and also we have read that money is going to be changing up also. So, the thing that's got me concerned is this is Saturn and this is March 5th, 2019. And I made this to where it's not so, oh my God, spooky fear. I tried to do that and I think I've succeeded. That's not going to be really what I would call awesome right now, even 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 4 degrees. Uh, Saturn in its own sign, it's going to be very powerful. On the cusp is Saturn, Capricorn, Saturn, same thing. And they're in the second house. Uh, Pluto has been in there in Capricorn for quite a while right now. We've got Jupiter 22 degrees inside the sign of Sagittarius, and Jupiter rules that sign. Jupiter's very happy there. There's nothing in this first house. So, the people, they are pretty happy. I mean, my goodness, we're going to get spring. And some of us that have been feeling all this snow and this crazy cold, we're going to think, who cares? We're happy. It's spring. And it is coming, but you just need to know it's coming with such a force that it could possibly be a little frightening with the lightning and volcanoes and hail and flooding and all that stuff. So just be on guard for that kind of stuff. All right. I did go ahead and I went off base here because next I'm supposed to be on Saturn trining Mars. And when is Saturn trine Mars? The 14th is when Saturn is trining Mars. So, but Saturn getting in there, that isn't good. It is going to cause some restraint, in the finances. You're going to kind of want to tighten the old belt. I see America doing that as well. Also, if you look back through history, you can Google this, but the last time Uranus was in Taurus and in the USA fifth house, and remember, I use 5:10 p.m. I have a rising Sagittarius. I'm not using rising Gemini. But at the same time, back during the Great Depression, 1933-34, Uranus was in Taurus at the same degree in the fifth house. So, but however, if we go back to that, and maybe I'll do something on that. It really didn't kick in and start up, I believe, if I can remember from memory, until Saturn was in Aquarius. But we'll see this time what happens. So, I do look for things to get a little tighter. As you can see, we're getting really close to the Pluto return there. And we'll have to see. All right, moving on. The 14th, I believe I said, right? Yes, I did. Oh, there's Uranus into Taurus. And again, a lot of weather craziness, a lot of money up and down, stock market kind of stuff. The only thing that I would really love to talk about, but it's like I don't want to add a lot of fear because I'm not sure that I should yet. I'm not sure it calls for it quite yet to add all that fear. I'm gonna kind of ponder on this. I'm thinking not until Saturn gets into the sign of Aquarius, which will be 2020, close to 2020. I'm thinking the worst part of all this is going to come in 2020, election year. It's going to start getting a little bit worse coming, into the fall, but more into 2020. I see it not very good for the United States. Don't know if it's going to be good for you. You've got to get your own chart done, right? But you are going to be feeling this, of course. But again, when everybody had this with the 2008, 2009 recession, not everybody felt that, did they? Nope, they didn't. So anyway, I'll have to listen to this to see if I'm going to actually post this or have to start all over. But I did not mean to, but anyway. All right, here we go. The 18th, Sun enters Aries. Oh, I wanted to say, when these two, when Saturn and Mars are trine, it does give extra energy to the government. So we'll have to see, that energy could come in to the government in the second house with finances, the fifth house, which has to do with anything entertainment. Children has to do with the fifth house, amusement, taking risk, things like that. And with Uranus in there, I wouldn't, and it's going to stay in there for the next 7 years. I wouldn't be taking as many risks because you never know which way it's going to go. With Uranus, it's like lightning. You don't know where it's going to strike. We try to make an educated guess by looking at the sign it's in and the house it's in and what it's aspecting. So Uranus is a hard, hard planet to even make a prediction on. Okay. I think I went too far. I think I did. Okay, the retrograde, the sixth. We have a new moon in the third house. Oil and gas will go higher. Also, do look for anything fake news to come to light. Okay, the 18th, the sun does enter Aries, and with that, there will be abundance of energy when the sun does enter Aries. Wonder why. Maybe okay. So the 21st, depending on where you're at. Oh, the 20th, I'm sorry. The 20th, 21st, the sun enters Aries. And as you can see, he's conjunct the fourth house. The fourth house in a personal horoscope is the endings. It's the bottom of the horizon. It's the underneath. But with the sun 0 degrees, which is a very critical degrees, and on the fourth house cusp, we also have Aries. What rules Aries? Mars rules Aries. The sun's very strong in that sign. And the sun is going to be going into the first house. So there'll be abundance of energy. You'll want to just use caution. Don't be so bold to try those new things. Kind of maybe give it some thought before you do is what I would suggest. And the 20th, we have a full moon. And the full moon is in Libra. So we are going to 20th, 21st, depending on where you're at. Woo! Okay, now you see how it's on the cusp of the 10th house of the United States, okay? And then we've got Uranus 0 into Taurus in the fifth house. We've got Saturn 3 degrees before he is conjuncting, and he's going to be more powerful. You're going to notice Saturn, any of your malefic planets will be more powerful, sometimes 6 degrees out, but really 5. And this one's really close, like within 3, 19, 20, 21, 3 degrees. So you beware, just kind of stay under the radar a little bit. But events always do happen. They always have a week or so before the full moon. So you're going to want to, understand that to kind of watch yourself a week before the full moon. It's going to be very stormy weather beforehand. It's going to be a lot of hail. It's going to be earthquakes, volcanoes, you name it, we're getting it. It's going to be like it's going to be like we've never seen before. Some of us, anyways, have never seen before. So you're going to want to plan accordingly. And it'll be weather. Stock market will be taking a hit also. Didn't say anything about a stock market. What do you call that when it dives? A crash? Didn't say that. I really have been looking at this a lot, and I'm going to say the closer we get to 2020, the more we're going to have to worry. So, okay. Also, if you want, Uranus is the great awakener. He is. And I do have a piece up on my website about Uranus. So if you want to go down and you want to go ahead and put Uranus in Taurus and read on that, that'd be very beneficial because you'll see how our monies are going to be switching up. Weather, all kinds of stuff is going to be taking a switch up. Also, I do have it on how it's going to affect Aries through Pisces if you want to kind of peek at that. But you'll understand a lot more once you take the time to read this, okay? All right, let's see here. Very, very informational. Uranus in the history and all that good stuff. Okay. www.spiritualdesignAstrology.com. All right, so that's the new moon. Taurus, it's the sign of the bull. It's linked to possessions and money, so you're going to want to read it. Also on the 20th, we've got Mars and Pluto trine. That's going to make you feel like you can move mountains. It's going to, here we go. It's going to make you feel as if you can move mountains and so forth. It's going to make you feel really, really good. So you are going to want to watch and Mars, Pluto, and this is going to the sixth house. And I want to say something. Even in the middle of February, when Mars is in Taurus and it's going to be going into the sign of Gemini, people are getting sick. Taurus rules the throat. Here, Uranus, he is in the sixth house of health. So get on those vitamins, exercise, get plenty of rest, water, because like again, like I said, Taurus is the throat. You're going to start getting sore throats. What do they call that? Strep throat, ears, fevers. This rules fevers. Also, when it goes into the sign of Gemini, look for high fevers, look for lung problems, bronchitis, that kind of stuff. So it's going to be really, really, really prominent. Just letting you know that. So, also we've got Mars squaring Venus on the 20th. And when Mars squares Venus on the 20th, let's see where Venus is. There's Venus in the second house. There's Mars. Okay, let's go back. Let's see. Okay. And I would have to use the hours to get it where it's supposed to be squaring exactly. But anyway, it will be squaring. And, right? Mars square Venus on the 20th. I know I don't want to do this, keep doing this kind of stuff. But anyway, if I go back some hours, it'll be squaring. So Venus is in the second house of our finances in the sign of Aquarius. What rules Aquarius? Saturn co-rules Aquarius and Uranus rules Aquarius. Mars is in the sign of Taurus. What rules Taurus? Venus does. So with this square, you want to be careful with questions around financing. So you're going to hear a lot of questions around financing coming to light. Taxes are not going to get a fair shake at this time. It could be a day before, a day before actually, because usually what I do, I run very, very tight orbs, one before, one approaching, and one conjunct or exact, perfected, same thing, and then one passing. So if we did that, you're going to be hearing about that a lot. 19, 20, 21, probably around March 15th. Isn't that? No, April 15th is. But anyway, you're going to be hearing a little about taxes. Like we have been, either the taxes are going to be upped in the United States, are going to have to up it some way, somehow, taxes on tariffs, that kind of thing, anything related to how the USA makes their money. The game's going to be upped. So hopefully that made some sense. And your own taxes, you're gonna be hearing, my tax refund wasn't as much as it should have been. Well, that's because you're getting more back in your paycheck. You're going to want to kind of adjust that if you want a big and why, some people do, they want big refunds. And that's okay. I don't know why they would want that and wouldn't want it to come out even to where you don't owe them and they don't owe you. That's what you're going for, not for it to be your personal piggy bank, because that might not work out for you in the long run. We've got a lot of money changing up coming in. So you're going to want to, I would say, wouldn't you want to even it to where you don't owe, they don't owe you, you don't owe them? You might want to think about that and read on it. All right, let's see here. Um, Neptune conjunct Mercury, be careful. Yeah. When these two guys get together, and that is going to be on the 24th, you're going to want to be very careful of deception, being deceived. Okay, so and this is retrograde, so we'll feel it's going to happen again when he goes direct. So just be aware of this. This is in the USA third house. This has to do with the media and so forth. Somebody's being deceitful. You're going to want to dig for your answers is what I would do is definitely do not make any important decisions at this time either. No, no, no. So you're going to want to dig who's being deceitful, who isn't being truthful, and and figure it out. Just don't believe everything you hear. That's what I would suggest. All right, Mercury is direct on the 27th. Communications are back on track, which is good. And on the 31st that I was telling you about earlier, that is when Mars is going into the sign of Gemini at 0 degrees. And that's when, and also I do look for some Navy, something in the water, something Navy to be coming into the forefront. And I don't look for it to be really bad at all, because nothing is making any aspects with Mars. So I don't look for it to be bad. Possibly, who knows what the Navy does in the water, but they do very important things. I maybe, who knows what they'll be doing. Maybe some demonstrations of some sort. I don't know. They're very, very important, but I'm not sure what they'll be doing. So, all right. If anything, I hope you got out of this. Check your own natal chart, learn it by heart. Those computer printouts that tell you about your natal chart, don't count on them. Even when I run them on my own program, or I went to another website, Astro or something like that, I can't remember. I think that's it. They've got like my Mercury my Mercury squaring something, and it was not squaring. Oh God, I want to say Saturn, but I'm not for sure. And it wasn't. So you want to be sure. Get an astrologer to look at that natal chart, and or you learn this. I've got classes up also on my website that it's astrology for newbies. I do it this way, and I go through and tell you how to read a natal chart and so forth, and I give you also the symbols so you know what Saturn is, and Libra and Neptune and Virgo, and you know what the cusp are and what they mean. So you take a look, take a peek at that. You might be interested and learn this yourself. It's very valuable. It is. Once you know the energies to work with, whether they're negative or positive. Just an example, if you're still with me, when somebody says Mars is squaring Saturn, how is Mars and Saturn behaving in your natal chart? Might not be that bad for you at all. In the USA natal chart, see Saturn, see Mars, they're not squaring at all. They're trining. Okay. So it's not going to be bad whenever you see that. Not saying there's going to not be some tension. Yeah, there's going to be some tension, but not as bad as if somebody had Saturn and Mars squaring for sure in their natal chart. That, and it's hitting one of those planets. That's going to be pretty not good. So that's why you're also going to want to know your natal promise. All right, this is Bree with Spiritual Design Astrology. Got tongue tied there. I am so Mercury. My 10th house is Mercury. My first house is Mercury. My North Node is in Mercury. So when Mercury gets close to getting retro, I blubber up, and I don't mean to. But I do hope that you like this. Please share it. Please like it. Please leave me some comments. I will see you next time. Stay safe.